Mic check. Am I on? Am I on? Grace. Peace, peace. This is Terrence Frederick, Kingdom Media Foundation. Checking in with you. Terrence Frederick Ministry page. If you hadn't already liked the page, go ahead and like the page. Go on YouTube and subscribe. I'm putting out new material as much as possible to populate and colonize the earth, kingdom culture. Let everybody know that Yeshua is Lord. There's only one way to salvation, one way to the Father is through the Son. Only one name given under heaven that people can be saved by. That's the name of Yeshua, also called Jesus, the Messiah, the Son of the living God, the eternal word of life. This is who we preach. So no matter what I'm talking about, whether I'm talking about gifts or business or mentorship, the foundation and the root of all of that is Christ, Christocentric. The kingdom, the gospel of the kingdom is about a king and his governance, a king and his citizens, and the rights to reign and have dominion and operate in his stead. That's the foundation of our teaching. It's like I said, whether I pull out chapter and verse on you or I'm just talking and rambling, the foundation of all that is Christ. No, he was not man-made. No, he was not made up at the Council of Nicaea. But he made all things seen and unseen, visible and invisible. He's the first and the last, the Alpha and Omega. Before anything existed, before anything was, he crafted it from the bosom of the Father, shaped it, gave it form. He's the eternal wisdom of God. He is the Logos, the eternal logic of God, his computation, his calculations, his analytics. All that is the mind of Christ. It's Christ before he manifested in the flesh. He existed as the living word, the word of Yah. Every word that God spoke, that was Christ. Every thought that he thought. The scripture says all things were made by him and for him. Nothing that is made, nothing that was made without consideration of the Son of God. So that he is the King of Kings. He is worthy of high esteem, high honor. He's the one who conquers sin and death. He's the one who led captivity captive and gave gifts to men. No man took his life, but he laid it down to be a ransom for our sins so that we could no longer be children of darkness and bound to darkness, that we would be children of light and in the kingdom of light, walking in the marvelous light. That's the king that we serve, and that's the foundation for everything that's being spoken. A lot of times you're not going to see me pull out a Bible. I'm not going to be pulling out a Bible because I'm usually being mobile. I'm on the move. But also I believe that there are different formats for different people. And you need to know that somebody can just sit down and talk about God and talk about Christ and be passionate about who he is without pulling out a Bible, because the word of God is in them. If the word of Yah is in you, then you should be able to communicate the word and talk about your word, your understanding of the word, give an answer for the hope that lies within you. And so I'm also demonstrating that you can just have a real life conversation with somebody, a real life dialogue on kingdom things, because you're hiding the word in your heart. So the word, when it's hidden in your heart, it becomes a part of your thought processes. It becomes a part of your conversation, your dialogue. It becomes a part of how you interact with people. It becomes a part of your personality. And you begin to become a living epistle. So I want to demonstrate that. But today I want to just talk about prophets, the gift of prophets. The last few days I was talking about pastors and I was talking about evangelists. I talked about teachers a little bit. But I want to talk about the gift of prophets. Because some people think that the prophets originated in the church, that the gift of the prophet is a church gift. But that's secondarily. Before the prophet was in the church, the prophets were assigned to families, and prophets were assigned to nations and governments. So the prophetic gift is a gift that is an authoritative gift. It is also a tribal gift, and it's a national gift. And it cannot be just contained in the ecclesia, in the church. It can't be just contained in what we call quote-unquote religious activity. But the prophet's gift is summoned and called upon to help bring counsel to kings, to help bring guidance to nations, to help steer governments. So the prophet is not limited to the church experience. And there are some church prophets, there are some house prophets. We need to understand that there are also national prophets. There are marketplace prophets. There are prophets who assign their gift works best when they're outside of the church, because of the insight they give, the counsel they give, the directions they give. But I want to give a few practical things that you can look at, or I would say the reward or the blessing of having prophets in your life. One thing I want to dispel this myth, and that is the myth that since we are in the new covenant and we have the Holy Spirit inside of us, unlike those in the Old Testament, there is no longer a need to call upon or to inquire of the prophets for direction. That teaching was instilled by evangelical fundamentalists who didn't even believe that prophets exist today. But what I want to tell you, a part of that is true, and that is that we do have the Holy Spirit. And the God said, in the last days I will pour out my flesh on my sons and daughters. On your sons and daughters, they will prophesy. Your manservants, maid servants will have visions, all this kind of stuff. So we do know that because the Spirit is here, He's made us a prophetic generation, a prophetic age, a prophetic people. And so now people can hear from the Lord to a certain degree. And the scripture says that the Spirit will lead us and guide us into all truth. That is true. But there's still a need for the office of the prophet. There are rewards for inquiring of the prophet. You got to understand that prophets are different because they dedicate their whole life to the field of hearing from the Lord, understanding His communication, understanding His media, understanding how He translates things from symbols to a clear message, how He decodes and how He makes clear encrypted messages. They understand, they devote themselves to understanding dreams and understanding creation and the signs of the time, and how knowledge and wisdom might be linked, might be embedded into a natural thing, a scientific discovery. But prophets are trained, and they're in the school, lifelong school of learning how to accurately uncover and unpack and interpret what Yahweh is saying to His people, to individuals, to jurisdictions, and all this kind of stuff. So with that being said, it's very important to understand that if somebody is studying something day and night more than you, if somebody is giving their life over to being able to accurately hear God, to consecrate themselves so that they can hear a word, so that they can speak a word, so they can interpret a word, so they can write or scribe out a word, that person is going to be more advanced than the believer, even though the believer may have the spirit of prophecy inside of them. You see what I'm saying? So it's a myth to say that we should no longer inquire of the prophets just because we have the Holy Spirit inside of us, because that is their specialty. That's what they've been called to do. That's what they're gifted in doing. Now, getting that out the way, if you look at the scripture where it says there's safety in a multitude of counselors, then you won't see that it's odd that emperors, kings, pharaohs, and sovereign rulers of times would have prophets, would have seers, would have elders and leaders who studied the signs of the time, even studied astronomy and studied the patterns of the earth and seasons and all this kind of stuff. And they looked at all of that. They were students of nature. They were students of social structures and students of government and history. And so they were able to speak to many things. They were students of literature. They observed the science of the day, and they related those things and utilized all that knowledge to communicate a clear and effective and impactful word from Yahweh in real time. So when we look at that, we understand that safety and multitude of counselors, that the kings realized that it was important to hear what the prophets, what the counselors had to say in terms of giving guidance to the directives they would have from the gods or from God, depending on what kind of prophets they were, to give them success in victory, success in battle, victory in warfare, triumph and conquest. They consulted the prophets. That's why you shouldn't find it strange that people that are prophetic would want to establish some kind of consultation firm or establish some kind of outlet to where people can seek them out for counsel. And that should still be happening today. The reason why the psychics are so strong and have been so strong for the last, 30, 40 years now, is because prophets were not in place and were not set up and had not set up institutions so that people could inquire of them. So now we think of that as witchcraft or borderline New Age-ish for somebody to call a person who is skilled and spiritually advanced and get direction for their life, or to go to somebody. Now, when we start talking about attaching money to it and paying for prophecies, that's a whole different thing. I'm not talking about that. But I'm talking about being able to go to someone who's reputable, who has a track record with God, whose words don't fall to the ground, and being able to inquire of them and hear what the Lord is saying. Now, with that being said, if you look at the Old Testament pattern, you do see that people brought an offering to the prophet because the prophet lived off of their ministry. And this goes back to the question, how come pastors seem to be like they're the only ones that can live off the gospel? It is expected that in the institution of the church that the senior pastor does not have to go, in most cases, doesn't have to go and work another job, but that the church would take care of him so he can devote himself to the ministry to be there for the people, right? But then we don't expect for other ministry gifts like the prophet to have some kind of institution or some kind of economy so that they don't have to go and work 3 or 4 different jobs in order to be prophets or be what they're called to be, right? So I'm glad God is restoring this in the earth. And he's giving us, and here's the other thing too, because he's giving us opportunities to see things and do things outside of the local church. And because a lot of times prophets will sit around and wait for their pastors to employ them. Prophets will sit around and wait for the institution of the local church to bring in the economy to acknowledge their gift. But listen, a lot of churches can't support that, right? So a prophet needs to be able to establish some kind of economy or some kind of stream of income, whether it's through a project that God called them to build, whether it's through a business, a prophetic business, whether it's through, some kind of means by which a flow of communication can happen. It could be a school, it could be the school of the prophets, or it could be like business schools, a school of business, a school of, where you actually learn different things, different trades, different life skills. See, one of the rewards of being around a prophet, a real prophet, is that they will have the ability to bring success into your life. Because prophets have an economy that is connected to that gift. I'm talking about real prophets now, not just people who prophesy every now and then. I'm talking about officers. I'm talking about those who hold the weight of leadership, the governance of the prophetic. They have an economy in them. They have streams in them. And so they can communicate with you you about spiritual things and communicate with you about your life and your faith, but they can also communicate with you about business, and they can mentor you and deal with you and tell you how you can tap into the treasures that's inside of you, that's hidden and that's buried, how you can unveil that, unpack that, and flow into a whole stream of success and prosperity. In other words, the reward of a prophet is success and prosperity. This is why it's very important for us to understand that we should reward them, because they're rewarding us with their presence. A prophet is rewarding us with their life. They're rewarding us with the favor that is upon them, because they have devoted themselves to being close to the Father. And because they are close to the Father, and because they have dedicated their lives to being in the presence of the Father, there is a favor and there is an atmosphere that comes along with this gift. And watch this. So I do understand that prophets will correct you, because they hate error, and they will rebuke you because they want to make sure that the heart of the Father is revealed, and they will redirect you because you're straying off the beaten path. They'll do all that, but the prophet will also bring success in your life, reward in your life, prosperity, if you obey. You hear the scripture says God does nothing in the earth unless he first reveals it to the prophets. God gives prophets access, special access, to get revelation before other people get it, so that there can be some system or some standardization, some credence to what's being said. Because if he did not give it to the prophets first, then what you would have is everybody who has a spirit or has some spirit saying that God said something different. And you have all these different people saying God said different. We saw this with the elections. Everybody saying God said this, God said that, and half the people was wrong, right? So you have a lot of people saying God said, but God is Yahweh is a God of order. And what he will do is make sure that he standardizes, or that he brings credence to what he's doing. So let me point you to my institution. And the problem is those who should be prophets and who should be functioning as prophets, when they downgrade themselves and begin to start dysfunctioning like religious church people, the members of a religion. Because that's when you start hearing people come out with their biases with politics. That's with natural politics. That's when you hear people start coming out with their biases with natural things that's going on, and they lose the eternal perspective. They lose the perspective of the sovereign eternal one. They lose the perspective of us as the nation of Israel, of us being spiritual Israel, of us being the kingdom, us being Zion, and our mandate to colonize the earth with his glory and being consumed with the kingdom agenda. And they get caught up in race issues. They get caught up in small tribal issues. They get caught up in sectarianism. They get caught up in misogyny. They get kept caught up in all of this fleshly stuff, because they lose their focus and perspective. But a true, mature, bona fide prophet will not leave their post, but they will remember that their calling is not of this world, and it's not from this world, even though it's for this world. Say that again. Those who are called by heaven and called by God, called by Yahweh to establish his kingdom governance, they realize that though they are called for this world, their calling is not from this world. Their calling is not of this world, though the world will benefit from it. They're eternal agents, eternal beings. And so a prophet is very involved in wanting to mature the body of Christ and bring us into an eternal citizenship, that we understand who we are as eternal beings, not as fleshly beings, not as natural beings. So they want to strip away the flesh and see glory. And for a prophet, no matter how much glory they see, have advice for you of how more glory can be revealed. They have advice for you how for more majesty can be unfolded. And they will be calling you deeper and deeper. They say you deep, but you can go deeper. That's just what prophets do, right? Because God is Yahweh is always calling them to go deeper as well. But yes, you need prophets in your life, not just those who call themselves prophets because they prophesy every now and then. You know, there are many people who have the label, but many people who don't have the reward. See, I know that even on my job, there are people who have benefited greatly. They benefited greatly from my presence, even though I didn't tell them, you know, I'm an apostle or, you know, I speak as an oracle of God. I don't say none of that. You know, they ask for advice about getting getting jobs and advancing, or they ask for advice about, you know, businesses and things that they have going on. My gift just works, and people around me prosper. People who hang around me, they actually go beyond me. People who hang around me, it's the favor. It's the glory that's on me because of the gift. Now, I'm going to say this. The gift doesn't make you sanctified. The gift doesn't make you upright. You know, that's holiness. That's the righteousness of Yah. But the gift works. He designed and he designated who he wanted to flow in certain glory. I'm just like, anyone around me, if they get around me long enough, they're going to start being creative. They're going to start, if not just around me, if they take heed and start following, they're going to start being creative. They're going to start publishing things. They're going to start producing things. They're going to start speaking wisdom. They're going to start speaking kingdom language. They're going to start changing their language to go along with the revelation they're walking in. And they're going to begin to start walking in a certain level of favor with mankind, in whatever field they decide to go into. That's just, you know, how they say you get it from your mama. I got it from my parents. I was born into that glory and favor. And all of us have inherited spiritual and natural endowments that enable us to do what we've been called to do. I'll just end it with this right here. Debunk the myth. Prophets are still needed today. They're not going to be overthrown. They're not going anywhere. You may argue and fuss about too many people want to be apostles and prophets today. You can keep arguing and fussing about that, but we've had pastors and multitudes of pastors for centuries and centuries. So prophets are not going anywhere. They're just going to keep on maturing. And even as false prophets increase, accurate and true prophets will be revealed and will be even more on point than ever, more accurate than ever. And I just want to give you another news flash. Christ is not coming tomorrow, right? We're going to be here for a while. He's going to be raising up more and more prophets to speak his word, to publish his word, to announce his word, to bring good tidings, and also to not only his word, but also to bring about his economy so that the saints would walk in success in whatever field they've been planted in. You've been planted in whatever vocation you want to profit in your life. And don't just have a prophet there and listen to them tell you stuff all day and don't listen. But listen to the prophet. Make sure it's the kind of prophet that doesn't just speak from their own resources, their own will, because they want something for you, or they want to manipulate you or have you do something they want you to do. But make sure it's a prophet who will just speak what the Lord is saying without any kind of hope that it will be a gain for them, without any kind of hope that they will have the advantage by you obeying the word. A pure prophet. Yeah, prophets are for today. They're not going anywhere. They are the gift of God that has been given to the church and to the world to preserve the world, to bring prosperity to the world, and to set up an inheritance for your posterity. All right, good people. Y'all have a great day in the Lord. Grace and peace. I'll talk to you soon.